Have you ever wanted to build or create something, any sort of, type of art, and you had in your mind exactly how you wanted it to look, and then you created it and it looked nothing like what you envisioned, and you just become irate? We'll talk about it. Welcome or welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Megan, and I'm on this journey where I'm trying to teach myself how to code. If you haven't already, go check out this video, my first video on this channel. I explain, a little bit about my background, why I'm doing this, and what I'm hoping to achieve. In this video, I'm just going to pick up exactly where I left off. And my first step in this whole process was to decide what I wanted to build. I knew I wanted it to be very simple, something that's feasible for a beginner such as myself. So I just started brainstorming what I thought I could build and actually enjoy building and, still learn a lot in the process. So I ended up with two ideas. And I've got my notes in front of me, so that's why I'm looking over here. Okay, so I started thinking about problems that I've run into and how I could create some sort of tool or product or site or app or whatever to help solve that problem. One thing I immediately thought of, and it's probably because my husband and I are in the process of writing our next book. I'm a writer, my background is in writing. I'm also a self-published author. I'm a planner. Some people just sit down and write. I'm a planner and a plotter. So I always start with a story arc, this guy, and I start plugging in the climax, the rising action, like the big parts of the plot. And then I go in and I keep filling in the gaps from there. Normally I'm just doing this freehand, but I thought, wouldn't it be so cool if there was some sort of app where you could start with a blank story arc and start manually filling in the plot points, the big plot points, and then each of those plot points would expand into another page where you could develop them and flesh them out a little bit more, and then having some sort of automated templated spreadsheet where you can create a list of all the scenes in your book. Basically, these methods for outlining a manuscript are not new, but I've never come across a tool that helps you kind of automate and streamline the process a little bit more. So that was my first idea. My second idea, again, was born out of just something that I've never been able to find personally. I am big on journaling and planning. So sitting next to me right now, I have my diary and I have my daily planner. I've bought so many different planners. I'm a planner junkie, and I've also tried various online versions, and I can never find something that really satisfies what I'm looking for. And very often they're so rigid that you can't customize them to your liking anyway. So I thought, wouldn't it be cool to create some sort of basic daily planner, like a journal planner hybrid that allows you to be, hold on, let me try that again. It allows you to make it as simple as you want, but if you want it more personalized, there are customizations available. Not too many, because then it gets overwhelming, but something that allows people to personalize the experience, make it more of a creative process. So those are my two big ideas. I love the first idea because it's just something that's so close to my heart, but I wanted to pick something that I felt more people could relate to. So I'm going to go with a planner idea, and that's what I'm going to roll with, and we're going to see what happens. So what I started doing, and I use Notion for this, at least that's what I'm using right now, I started kind of jotting down the main features that I would like this planner to have. Something that I personally track, and I use a different app for it because I can't log it anywhere else really, is a water tracker, how much water I drink. I personally got in the habit of doing this because if I don't monitor it, if I don't track it, then I don't drink any water. Exercise and meditation, I also want to be able to track how many minutes I've done a day. I thought it would be cool to have a space for my top 3 daily priorities, top 3 things I'm grateful for. I want some sort of mental health check-in, and what I thought would be super cool is having stickers. People can add stickers to their journal entries. And this really started taking me back to the late 90s, early 2000s, the way we used to journal then. It wasn't it was an activity, it was fun, and it was something that we made personal to ourselves, and it had our own personal aesthetic. So that was kind of the feeling behind all of this. So it's part planner, part journal, all fun. Okay, so for the next step, I was like, what goes into building this? I have no clue. I don't have the slightest idea because I'm not a developer. So I Googled it, and already I was stuck because I realized there are various ways I could build this. I could build a website, I could build a web app, I could build a desktop app. Like, I knew the differences between those, but also like not totally. I was pretty sure right off the bat that I didn't want this to be a website. That didn't feel right. Although I couldn't tell you why. I just knew that I didn't want it to be a website. So then I thought, okay, I'll make an app. What kind? So I started comparing this again. I was Googling all of this. I started comparing the pros and cons between a desktop app and a web app. The big one for me, well, there were two big ones. I kept reading that building a desktop app is very costly. And as I said in my previous video, I'm trying to do this for as cheap as possible, ideally free. Don't know if that's doable, but we'll find out. So that was like the first strike against a desktop app. And then also, users have to download it. I wasn't too hot on that idea. So I'm gonna go with a web app, and I kept going from there. And so then I started Googling, what do you need to build a web app? What does it take? And there were two resources in the Google search results that helped me. Like, these two in particular were very helpful. I'll put those links in the description below. And what I started doing was kind of outlining what seemed to be the biggest steps along the way of building a web app. So I had to pick a development framework. I need to wireframe and prototype it, design the database, build the front end, build the back end, test and troubleshoot, and ultimately deploy it. What the heck does any of that mean? I have a little bit of a clue, but not much. So anywho, I started Googling around, and it seems like even before people pick a framework, they kind of sketch out what they want this to look like. And I was reading about all these tools that you can use for wireframing and prototyping: Envision Studio, Figma, which I'm familiar with, can't say I know how to use it. And like, already I am significantly overwhelmed. Then I read that some people just put pen to paper and they sketch out what they want this to look like. And I was like, I can do that. So that's what I did. Now we're gonna get to my artwork. I'll put the stages up on the screen and tell you what my thought process was for all this. I started with a blank sheet of paper, and I thought, if I had a daily journal, a daily planner, and I wanted it to feel very personal to me, what might it say at the top? Well, I read before that from like even a physiological, psychological level, any person's favorite sound in the world is their own name. Like, that's what on a brain level, that's what we respond to the most. So I said, all right, I'm gonna put my name at the top. And obviously the user would do the same. I took out my watercolor markers, and already I knew how I wanted it to look in my head. This is how it came out. And I like I said, I was immediately irate because I thought, this is not gonna go well. But better done than perfect, so we're gonna keep going. I mentioned that I wanted some sort of water tracker, so I started to kind of, imagine what that might look like. And I thought, okay, but I want a comparison, what I'm trying to achieve versus how far I've gotten so far. So then I added 2 columns for a goal and achieved, that should say fluid ounces, I ran out of room, and then a little bar at the bottom. So the user would go in, enter their goal for that day, they would enter how much they've drank that day, and I'm gonna give options for different units of measurement, and then the bar on the bottom would automatically populate based on how far along they are. Then I wanted to add some sort of tracker for any sort of mental health practices. So this might be meditation, it could be breath work, it could be visualization, whatever, fill in the blank. To keep it simple, I stuck with a similar tracker that I used for the water feature. So again, you would have goal achieved in minutes, and then the bar that shows you your progress. Next, top 3 priorities. I wanted to limit this to 3 because everything can't be a priority. And this is a simple list. the simplicity is a big part of this for me, because I know when things start to get too complicated, or when you give users too many options or too much room, it's just they get like analysis paralysis and don't end up doing anything. So they're going to get 3, kind of short, small text fields to enter in their top 3 priorities for the day. Daily goal, one big goal, whatever it might be. And this one I kind of imagine more as a box, a short description where they can put a little more text in if they want to. Mental health check-in. This is where the stickers come into play, or one of the places where they come into play. I thought it would be cool to add 3 circles where they can drag and drop what will ultimately be some sort of emojis with different facial expressions. And this can kind of allow them to track their mood from day to day. Chores, I added this because I have a habit of using like little sticky notes, especially on the weekends. I'll jot down all the chores that I have to do. Really, it's just for the satisfaction of crossing things off. I love crossing things off lists. I will add things to lists just so I can cross them off. And again, I put 3 there. I feel like 3 is enough. If you're doing more than 3 chores a day, stop. And I did think of some extras. A fitness tracker might be cool, a very simple fitness tracker where all you're tracking is your minutes. Errands would be similar to chores. It would be in a list format. And reading, man, I could go ham with this one because I use a whole separate website, Goodreads, to track all the books that I read. But for now, I thought it would be cool to allow them to track either minutes they read or pages. I could see both being very satisfying. So that's where I left off with planning these different features, and that is how I ended up with this. And like I was saying in the beginning, I knew in my mind like how I wanted this to look, and in my mind it looked just spectacular. This took effort. I know it doesn't look like it, but it did. I used a ruler. I used like a variety of markers, not just colors, but types of markers. I put effort into this, and then I finished it and I was like, oh my God, this looks like absolute. And then I became enraged. Like I wanted to tear this up and throw it away. The only reason I didn't is because I knew I'd have to do it again, and that wasn't going to happen. I was so mad because I wanted to start on a positive note, and then I hated what I did. Even though it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how pretty it looks. This was just to get my ideas on paper. Anywho, I was livid, and I was texting with my husband who's down the hall. I even made some comment to him about how it looks like, I said something like, it looks like a toddler drew it with their feet. I don't think I'm wrong. Anyway, I need to be more patient and cut myself some slack, which I'm not always very good at, especially when I'm trying to learn new things, and especially when those things are very complicated. So I'll get over it. It's going to be okay. The final thing that I worked on after I created this masterpiece, I started thinking more about not just the user experience side of it, not just the look of it, but how I want it to function. And some of these are smaller details, but I was just trying to think, okay, what would make this experience really cool? So the first thing I thought was adding some sort of animation to their name at the top. Only a few animation options. Again, I don't want to give them too many options because that's just overwhelming. So maybe there's an animation where you can like make it shimmer or make it sparkle or make it look like it's being written by hand. I thought it might be cool to give them different writing tools. So if you wanted to highlight something or bold it or put stars around it, you would have the option to do that. Or the option to scratch things out, check them off, some sort of checklist. We love our checklists. This was a bigger thing I thought of that I think might be really cool. I mentioned that one of the challenges that I've run into when trying to find online journals and online planners is that they're so rigid that I can't switch them up at all, and they're never a perfect fit. So I thought, okay, how could I make this more customizable without it being too over the top? And I thought it'd be really cool for each of these to be, I don't know the correct name for it. The first word that came to mind was widget. You could drag and drop in all of these options so that if you don't care about doing the mental health check-in or tracking your water or whatever, you just don't have to use it. I thought a photo journal might be really cool, a space to add maybe like 1 to 3 pictures, that could be another widget. So if you wanted to take a picture of your breakfast, or like a gym selfie, or your outfit of the day, again, it's just like, I think it's a small detail that could help personalize the whole experience. I thought about giving people the option to add their own soundtrack or audio, kind of like circa MySpace. Don't know exactly how that would work. I mean, let's be honest, I don't know how any of this is going to work. My husband and I were noodling on it a little bit, and I don't know if there might be a way to like pull in YouTube so that they could search within the app on YouTube to find a song or a playlist that they like. That's gonna take a little homework. Again, don't know what's possible. These are just ideas. I think if I can pull this off, it could be fun. It's gonna give me and other users the chance to track things the way we want to track them. And the little details like being able to add a soundtrack or stickers, or like little animations here and there. I wanted this to be a fun activity. Like if I were to show you my diary right now, which I'm obviously not going to, I decorate it because this is like almost therapeutic for me. So I've got here on my desk, I've got washi tape. If you're not familiar with washi tape, it's just like this thin decorative tape. I've got stickers, I've got different markers and stuff. And it's because journaling for me and like using my planner, it's an activity. I'm not only using it to write things down or plan out my day. The planner a little more so, but my journal is fun for me. It's my playtime. And what I'm trying to build is kind of a combination of the two things. Tons of fun. All right, that is all I've got for now. In the next video, I feel like this is like child's play right here. In the next video, I actually have to start working. I have an idea of some of the tools I want to start playing with to see how I can pull this off. I will be leveraging AI. The fact that AI can build the code for you these days helps people like me a lot. Funny story, when I first thought about using AI for this, I was like, no, I want to do it the old school way. I want to code it all myself. And it was because I really genuinely want to learn how to code. But what's so crazy about what's happening in this industry right now is that not only is it not necessary to learn how to do it the hard way, I mean, I think it could be beneficial, but is it necessary anymore? Is it the most efficient way to do this anymore? Probably not. So my hope is that along the way, I still learn how to code, like kind of old school. I still want to learn how it works, why it works. I don't want to leverage AI completely because then I'm not really learning much. I'm going to find a balance between the two to learn how all of this is happening, what's making it possible, but also, making it feasible for a non-technical person like me to actually build something. So that is all for today. If you made it this far, bravo, and thank you. And I would love to hear from you in the comments. All of this is so new to me. And in my first video, and then as I've been tweeting about it, people have been like reaching out and responding, and it's so cool trying something new. And there's such a big tech community, English, what is it? On YouTube and Twitter. So already, just in the short time I've been doing this, I've met so many cool and interesting people. Drop me a comment, say hello, and let me know what you think of this so far. Let me know if you see any glaring issues with it, or things I should look out for, hurdles I should prepare for, anything like that, without getting too ahead because I'm not there yet. And that's it for today. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!